In a moment to watch this video. My name is Aubree Stoddard, and I watched the 1993 film Benny and Joon. I'm grateful for the chance to share my thoughts and insights from what I learned, and I'm also grateful to learn from you. Whether you watched the movie as well and did your own practice application, or you have some feedback and thoughts for me, I'm excited to learn from you. Now, if you wouldn't mind, just pulling up my PowerPoint if you have it with you, and you can open it to the first slide, and then indulging me by closing your eyes. Of course, everything's dark. Imagine complete silence and being entirely enveloped by some kind of encasing that holds you just at the surface of your skin, as if it was some container that was exactly your body shape, not too tight and not too loose. But if you make any kind of motion or movement, it suddenly tightens and becomes tighter and tighter with every motion that you make until the air in your lungs starts squeezing out. But it cannot be expelled. You can't move. You're being compressed. That container grows tighter and tighter and tighter until you can't move at all. And you just want to break out. In my observation of the film Benny and Joon, this is what Juniper Pearl felt like. Now, there are three characters in the film. There's Benjamin and Juniper Pearl, brother and sister, and Sam, who ends up being Juniper's partner. My application is towards Juniper and Benjamin Pearl. Juniper with the treatment and Benjamin, of course, as her family. Sam, if he decided to stay in her life, which the movie indicates that he does, would of course be part of the client collaboration process. But I started my occupational profile on Juniper Pearl. She seems to be in her mid-20s. She is orphaned. She's been taken care of from her brother for the last 12 years. And she does seem to have some kind of mental illness, although it doesn't specifically tell us what it is. She says words that don't necessarily apply to the situation. She's a little socially awkward. She wears helmets in cars, and she wears snorkel masks to make smoothies. She just seems to have these different odd characteristics that don't necessarily make sense. And though we don't have a specific diagnosis, some have suggested Asperger's syndrome or OCD to some degree. She doesn't like tight spaces like on the bus, and she doesn't seem to like loud noises, such as when Sam is cleaning the house and he's playing that loud boombox. Now, a couple other things about Juniper that I just want to address is that she does seem to be very mistrustful. She thinks that other people are out not necessarily to get her, but to look down upon her, that she is incompetent viewed by others, that she's not good enough. Her comment to her brother, Benjamin Pearl, who's her caretaker, is when they're playing ping pong and their scores differ as to what the score is, she says mentally ill people can count too. She just seems to think that everyone in the world thinks she cannot be trusted with real life responsibilities. It seems that she values the opportunity for her independence. And the reason I bring up that scenario in the beginning is because that's what Juniper seems like. She's not necessarily going anywhere, rising to any greater heights, but she is not necessarily able to move very much. Her routine does provide structure, and in it she's complacent, but she doesn't seem to be reaching her fullest and highest potential either. She also values respect. And I think that's something that Sam gives her. He doesn't look at her as an oddball or a weirdo. He seems to respect her and appreciate her eccentricities. And as such, she lets him in. Now, some of her client factors that I wanted to address on, of course, her bodily structures seem fine. Her bodily functions, the impairment seems to come in the mind, right? Her personality is volatile. She is angry, yells, physically violent when she's upset. When she's stressed, she starts fires. Her social interaction isn't always what it should be. One thing I did want to address as well is her spirituality. The way that she seems to interact with the world and with others is through touch. Touch is what gives her the sensation that she needs, whether it's painting or whether it is kissing Sam. His breath on her face seems to give her extreme sensation. I, of course, did want to also address Benjamin Pearl. He has his own occupational profile because he is a client as well, just as they both see psychologists. The psychologist in the movie, he would need treatment as well. He would need help and consideration as well, and Very basically, I would just say Benjamin, socioeconomic status, middle class, he's a mechanic. He is looking for the chance to help people, whether it's fixing Ruthie's car, whether it is helping Sam find some kind of opportunity to show his talents as an entertainer, or whether it's taking care of Juniper. But he also wants this kind of independence. He wants relationship. He wants his own life. So Benjamin needs to find a balance between those two. And I'm looking at my PowerPoint as well. I also wanted to talk a little bit about some of the assets and problems that Juniper has in facing occupational therapy treatment. Some assets: she has a very strong, supportive environment. She's got 2 men that are willing to break into an institution for her to convince her that they want her to be with them. She also has a lot of talents. She's very good at painting, and she is amenable to getting help. She was willing to go see that psychologist. Now, some barriers include her inability sometimes to be in those small spaces, whether it was on the bus, whether it's a change in her patterns or routines. If there's a change or something that affects one of her triggers, she has these strong, violent reactions, and that needs to be addressed. Let's see, continuing on, just some other things to address. She has some strengths in her performance skills, such as her motor skills. Her body seems to be very well able to function, to move. Some processing skills she's got mastered, some she doesn't. She doesn't necessarily take orders that well. She doesn't necessarily follow social cues that well, which is why she struggles with her social interaction skills. Her performance patterns, while many changed, like her role of being a daughter with parents in the home, some of her routines and rituals maintained throughout her life, and her brother makes sure that they do, whether he's singing her a song as they go to bed or she's got the same stuffed animals as she falls asleep. A lot of these routines and patterns stay the same. Now, some strengths in the context: she's got very strong personal context with her family that surrounds her, her brother, and now her life partner Sam. Cultural contexts, not as much. She doesn't necessarily meet the social norms and standards of the world around her. Now, it's not that she needs to change herself to meet the social norms and standards, but that she needs to learn, or not learn, but understand what is appropriate in social interactions. Continuing on, talking about what we would like to address with Juniper Pearl. There are things that we want to focus on so that she gets the opportunity to reach her greatest goal, which appears to be independence. She wants to live alone. And I think by focusing on education and training so she can maybe get a job, and then focusing on group interactions, group intervention, so she can have social participation, and then self-advocacy, standing up for herself, doing things for herself, she can then move out of the IADL's work and rest and play that she seems to do well, and move on to the IADL's job and social interaction, social participation, community participation that she still needs to work on. The focus of what we need to be looking at is job, occupational performance, participation, and occupational performance. And as we do small goals, whether we're doing modifying goals or we're creating things, she can do small goals or tasks that help create that independence. Okay, we know that she can make meals for an entire day. Okay, we know that she can do these tasks that can then contribute to money making and help build her own independence, so then she can live on her own, which seems to be her greatest dream, is to be trusted with adult independent responsibilities. I did learn a lot from this film, and I hope I was able to convey some degree my observations and then what we think that she needed, and of course we implement an intervention plan and we discuss it, whether it's by milestones, you got a job, or whether it's weekly, temporally, every week let's talk, see what Juniper wants, what Benjamin wants, and how we can address those things appropriately to get them where they need to be, so she can have her own job, so she can have occupational justice and be independent, and they both can live their own lives and have that freedom. So I hope you learned something. I did. Happy to learn from you. Thanks for watching.